us now is Tim Evans from Longleaf Trading Group, live from the CME in Chicago. Tim, great to see you there. Now, we've obviously seen Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Irma going through now for the third time this month. Looks like Hurricane Maria is coming in. Where are we at with those refineries post all of these hurricanes, and what sort of impact do you think the next hurricane could have?
Yeah, I mean, I think by and large the oil community or the oil investment community is pretty tired of hurricanes already. I mean, the impact, obviously the Harvey had on refineries was big, but fortunately, ingenuity kicked in, and 15 of those 20 refineries that were shut down due to that hurricane are now fully operational, or at least mostly operational. So the recovery effort was strong, and again, they're back at almost full operations. With respect to trying to predict the path of this next hurricane, I mean, that's anyone's guess. When I was analyzing it earlier, not that I'm a hurricane expert, but it appeared that there was a very slim chance that hurricane was going to be able to take a path that would create further problems for the refineries that are still trying to recover from Hurricane Harvey. So I don't really think that's going to be an issue. My expectation is that the U.S. oil industry is going to be, performing back to normal pretty soon.
So on top of these US refineries that have been knocked offline by the latest hurricanes, it also looks like a number of US refineries, those facilities are going to start some seasonal maintenance this month. So do you think we'll continue to see a further reduction in that refining activity?
Well, from my understanding, I talking to some industry insiders, the seasonal maintenance period actually, I think a number of refinery operations are going to be punted into 2018, given the recent developments, and they decided that delaying the maintenance, given the backlog, was going to be the prudent play. So it'll really just depend on who is ultimately punting into 18 and who's not, and how that falls on the supply balance sheet.
So with all of that in mind, and the fact that we're also moving into autumn now, Tim, which does tend to be a seasonally weak period, doesn't it? Do you expect the demand for crude to remain relatively weak?
Well, I mean, I don't see anything that really stands out in terms of what we would normally see on a seasonal basis. I mean, I will say, before the hurricane, I personally, and we as a firm at Longleaf, believe that we are starting to see kind of intermediate term fundamentals that were a little more favorable. Last month we saw oil production fall for the first time since March. The Baker Hughes has been, reporting now 6 out of the last 8 weeks. We've seen a reduction in the number of rigs added. So a lot of the issues that have really prevented the production cut deal that OPEC moved forward with from really materializing and having the impact on the global supplies of crude oil as they were expecting to, appears ultimately to be taking shape now. So I think that adds some bullishness, and I think if we see normal seasonal demand here, I think again that's going to start chipping away at excess supplies and allow the market to potentially get to balance, as OPEC was predicting in the spring or early summer of next year.
Now, even though we've seen, Tim, oil prices gaining strength this month, they've sort of failed to close above that crucial $50 mark. That seems to be the magic number right here. That's despite OPEC obviously coming in to try and curb that excess supply. They're also noting that I think OPEC is due to meet on Friday around the possibility of more, OPEC extension to those cuts and so forth. Are we expecting anything meaningful out of OPEC this Friday?
I fully expect that we're going to, hear some dialogue relating to the effort and relating to the intention to, or commitment rather, to have that extension extended beyond the March 18 date that the current agreement is in place for. I think without that, that would really leave the market unsettled in terms of the level of commitment that's there. And that level of commitment is really what's kind of buoyed the market and kind of given the floor that's been there in the face of these very bearish market fundamentals. So, OPEC obviously is a very professional organization with respect to PR, and I think we can expect to, hear that kind of dialogue out of them based on that fact alone.
All right, fantastic. Tim Evans, we'll leave it there. We appreciate you joining us, so as always, thank you.
Thank you, Leanne.